Willy Deli with Oju Solutions. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. It seems like your job is kind of critical at the moment.
It is, and a lot of people don't know what consultants do, and I think it's the right time to be able to reach out and explain a little bit how we can potentially help
Sure.
businesses, especially during
What
those times.
what is it that you do in one sentence?
In one sentence, I love
I don't
that.
know, just something quick so that like a good idea so that people can understand.
A good idea. It's basically I offer comprehensive consulting services to restaurants, bars, food trucks, and anything that is related to the food industry and hospitality.
Okay. So you basically help them run their businesses more
Exactly.
efficiently and
Yep.
safer.
So that's one of the goals. You're looking to open a restaurant. I will help you, guide you to make sure that you don't make the common mistakes and waste money. You have an operation that's losing money. We're gonna dig into that to see how we can fix it to generate more profit. You have a message to get out. I mean, we can help with marketing services as well. And overall, sometimes you just have, you know, you kind of like head in, you don't know exactly what's happening around, you're just trying to protect your business and your livelihood, to be honest with you. And it's just offering another set of eyes to be critical and see what adjustments can be made to be more efficient.
Okay. So when did you get your start?
Started this was 3 years ago. Worked
Okay.
in the restaurant industry my whole life, and I came to the US 12 years ago already, 13 years ago. It
Okay.
flies by. It's very fast from France. But work in the food industry my whole life. And I had the chance to work for a restaurant group in Baltimore at that time when I arrived and worked for them for almost 8 years. Work basically every single position in the business. Cooper's restaurant group, they have three restaurants in Fells Point, one in Lutherville and one in Jacksonville, Maryland.
I know Cooper's.
So
They're good.
great burgers, right?
And great burgers. Yep.
So worked for Patrick for a while, then went down to Lowell, at Cloby's Barbecue, which is one of the best barbecue you find in Maryland for sure. Helped them, a lot with their operation, and then realized that I could potentially do that for more businesses.
Okay. Awesome. So you've been doing this for you said 3 years ago you started the company.
That's
Uh,
correct. Yeah.
well, it doesn't sound like there'd be too many other people out there doing this, right?
There's not. I mean, a lot of, for restaurants, a lot of distributors will offer consulting services. Um, but if you're looking for a true independent consultant that will not try to sell you something else, you don't see that many. I would say I started that because my goal was initially to help food trucks back in the day to like help them get more structured with branding, marketing, and also organize their operation because it's a seasonal business technically, and I wanted to extend that to restaurants. So any restaurants looking to open, you have a lot of people that are investing in restaurants and never worked in a restaurant. You always hear that the margins in restaurants are thinner than any other business, which is true, and which it makes it even more difficult now. So the goal is to really protect that margin to ensure that any business is doing their best, putting everything together to generate profit.
Okay. Yeah. Restaurants are a tough business. My father he leased small office equipment or small equipment. And he
Hmm.
said the number one business to fail is a restaurant. So tough gig to be in, especially with the margins pretty thin. Uh,
75% of the restaurants that open close within 2 years.
wow. Um, yeah, it's tough. You're swimming upstream.
It,
Uh,
it, it is.
so how has your business changed in the last 2 months since the shutdown? What have you been doing?
Uh, I wish I would say I worked out and things like that. Didn't really work out that way. Obviously, I stopped all consulting, at least charging my clients because most of them had to shut down. A lot of them limited their operations to strictly carry out. So at the end of the day, the way I changed my business model was to like, okay, focus more on how can you help your clients right now before trying to really just run my own operation. So it really turned into more advising, and being able to help them be proactive to stay open during this crisis. Um, Hopefully at some point we get back to some sort of normal where I can really focus more on like helping restaurants to open, reopen, expand, and things like this. But right now it's really just a lot of time on the phone, helping people, guiding them, trying to find the best solution at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so what are some big things that restaurants should know, and what are the like three big things that they should know right now before they get back
I,
started?
I mean, I think that the main thing that restaurants should know is there's no guarantee things will go back to what it used to be.
Mhm.
That I think is the main thing to pull out there so that they can do everything possible to adapt to the situation. So we are entering phase one-ish in Maryland right now, depending on the county. So Harford County is definitely moving forward, but Baltimore County is not.
Mhm.
Uh, where do you find yourself when those kind of things happen? And we know that phase two will be the phase where restaurants can welcome guests on the limited capacity, probably, and mostly outside, I'm sure, for the summer. Uh, we still don't know when this will happen technically. So what can you do right now to keep your operation going until phase two? And then phase two, what will you have to put in place to be able to again change your business model, adapt to the new situation, the new normal, and generate a profit until you are able to go through phase three, which is probably the one that we can reopen to full capacity. But right now, the estimate for that is not until next year. And that also depends if we have a second wave or another pandemic or whatever murder hornet sharknado thing is going to come our way as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So if a restaurant is struggling right now, I think they all are. How would they get in touch with you, and how would you engage with them? What would that look like?
Well, I think the best way is to look at first their business model. What are they doing now and what they're trying to accomplish? A lot of restaurants are getting a lot. I should not say that. Some restaurants are getting PPP money now. They are looking to rehire people. We know that it's an issue right now because a lot of tip workers are actually making more money on unemployment than if they were hired.
Mhm.
That address another issue that I guess we get to at some point. But the main goal is like you have a restaurant, you are closed right now, but you are dying to basically get some revenue back. What can you do to adjust your menu, adjust your business model to make sure that once you reopen, even if it's a limited capacity, you at least don't bleed money. That's the main thing.
Mhm.
A lot of restaurants are not fit for carry out. I applaud seeing Charleston in Baltimore, which is probably one of the best fine dining restaurants doing carry out now. I heard today that Noma in Denmark, which is like one of the top notch restaurants in the whole world, is about to reopen. And guess what they're going to serve? Burgers and fries. Did we expect that? No.
No.
A lot of things are changing for sure. So the goal is like, what is your operation? What is your business model? And just try to find some ideas of like, okay, let's focus on some things. I know some restaurants are doing a lot with carry out, which is fantastic. Some of them are doing a lot with meal prep, which is great because people have more time to spend at home and they want to cook too. They realize that they have all that time in their hands now.
Mhm.
So I think restaurants can really adapt to that and then others find some very creative way to engage with their customers. I mean, I've seen restaurants doing like shop competition where they will sell basically a package of produce to people and say, all right, you take this, it's food. So, technically they generate revenue with that. And then they make it fun saying, you have to show us what creation you come with this and reward them with a gift card. I think this is great because that's the way you can engage on a socially distant kind of like way. And again, there's just so many things to do. I've seen chefs basically selling recipe kits and then offering cooking classes online, which I think is, again, extremely creative,
It's a
engage
pretty
with
cool idea.
people. It allows you to stay on the map, and I think that's the main thing. Uh, Restaurants that end up closing are restaurants that just are not as much attractive as they used to be, because we know so many new restaurants come every year, and at the end of the day, it's a tough battle. It was a tough battle before the current pandemic, so it's even harder now, because I guess everyone is really competing with everyone, because online you can reach out to any restaurant technically.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so if a restaurant wants to engage you and discuss with you for next steps, what how should they get in touch with you? Should they go through your website? Is there a telephone number, email?
hmm Through the website, all contact information are there, ojusolutions.com. Um, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram as well, on LinkedIn, everywhere. Um, and then, there are many things that we can discuss. It's not just about the operation, but, when it's about time to reopen, we can talk about the procedure to like clean the restaurant. Also, educating the staff about this. I think it's very important. We live in a world where, we get all those information online, that we have to filter between what's correct, what's not correct, and what applies and what does not apply. Um, I think the health departments are not ready yet. They don't have complete guidelines, so everybody follows the same CDC guidelines. But by the time that the health department will be ready, I think it's important that restaurants are ready by then as well to abide to those guidelines. And then we can talk about PR and communication, because I think it's very important regarding talking internally to staff, but also what if a restaurant opens and someone gets sick in a restaurant? How do you manage that? It's not the
Mhm.
end of the world. There are protocol in place that can be respected, but I think keeping the communication clean and straightforward with customers is key for sure.
Mhm.
Because I have a 5-year-old. He has basically asthma. I'm really nervous about going to a restaurant with him. So
Mhm.
anywhere I would go dining with him when the restaurant is reopening, I want to make sure that the restaurant is putting the proper steps in place to protect myself and their staff, to be honest with you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Many things, we can talk over and over for many hours. Just I think the best is, don't be shy, reach out. We can have a conversation. I'm not charging from the get-go for people who want to call me and use my services. That's not the goal.
Mhm.
I truly believe on the hashtag all in this together. At the end of the day, I want to, what you're doing with the group is fantastic. It's about creating relationship between people to help each other. And it's the same thing that I want to do with my company, is basically push my company to reach out to as many people who need answers. And it could be simple questions, and then build on that to make sure that all restaurants can reopen safely for their staff and customers.
Awesome. Man, Willie, you're doing good work, and a lot of people are gonna a lot of people need your help. So,
I'm ready.
thanks.
I have all that time in my hands.
Thank you for joining me here. This is like a great opportunity for a lot of people to streamline getting back into the swing of things. So, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
All right, talk to you soon.
You got it.